Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Little for jonathanlittlepoker.com, and as promised in the last video, I am here and I'm going to be playing some 40 big blind poker on Poker Snowie, which is the program that will teach you how to play what it thinks to be game theory optimal poker. So last time I went through and sort of just made sure I was doing the right plays as we progressed. This time I am going to not look at what the program suggests at all. I'm actually going to make it seven-handed too, so that we have a little bit more action. 40 big blinds, freeze out. All right, here's one table, and we will load up two tables so that we can have lots of action. I'm all for lots of action. That way we are not just sitting here like this hand is easy. Fold. Don't even need to think about it. Folds, folds. And I imagine if you were really trying to put in like a nice long session with this, you could probably like four table it or whatever. So here I decided to call with tens because I know the program says jacks is barely a three bet, and if jacks is barely a three bet, then I can't really see how this would not be a call. Also, I am going to stick to half pot or pot bets because that is purely what the program suggests. I don't know if that's exactly ideal or not. And I'm going to try three betting this out of position. This could easily be a fold. I guess we'll see at the end. We'll see. We'll go through everything at the end and see if I made too many egregious errors. Ideally, I think if you just have no quote-unquote blunders, as they call them, I think you're doing fine. This is probably close to a defend, but probably not quite good enough. I know 5-3 offsuit, it says, is a horrible defend. So this is probably close enough to that to where I don't think we need to be defending. It's probably a close raise. Maybe just it's a fold. I really don't know. I think it's going to be one of these very close spots. I'm going to go with fold, though. I'm going to try to get a perfect score. If you guys want to practice on Poker Snowie, you can go to jonathanlittlepoker.com/pokersnowie and get a free 1 week trial. So you can actually play this as much as you want for a week for absolutely free. And I bet after you play it for a week and see your game improve significantly, you're going to want to keep playing it because the program's sweet. So here we're just going to raise continuation bet half pot. And I imagine we should probably just continue betting on the turn. I don't see any purpose in not betting on the turn. This is where the bet sizing of the program may get me a little bit because I could see betting bigger being fine here. But we'll just continue betting. And I actually think we do value bet river. Opponent should have... I mean, maybe we're supposed to jam the river. So this is another spot where I don't know if all in or bet small is ideal. If we bet small and we get shoved on, what are we going to do? I mean, I feel like we're probably supposed to fold, but that feels incredibly nasty. Here we're just standard. It's bet, bet, bet until he shows us reason not to. Half pot, half pot, half pot. Seems fine. All right. What am I going to do here? I got to make a decision. I'm going to go with a half pot bet, although I think the average bet size this thing's going to want to do on the river is nearly an all-in. But we're going to do half pot bet. And we do get value, so that's good, but I still am unsure if we played it optimally. From the small blind, I know program suggests 3 big blinds. You very rarely want to make it less than 3 big blinds. From small blind here, again, we have the nuts. We're just going to go bet, bet, bet. Horrible river for me. I suppose we should check this. I don't really see a purpose in betting. Opponent puts this in. I think we need to fold here. We have a bluff catcher, and not even a great bluff catcher, so I'm going to fold. Discipline. You got to have the discipline. Program always suggests 2.25 big blinds, which is a half pot raise. I think the program... I really don't know. I'm actually going to email the people who make this program and ask them if they have figured out like a quote-unquote optimal bet size pre-flop, because I kind of doubt it's exactly 2.5 big or 2.25 big blinds. It seems like a kind of odd number. I also do know that the bet size, I think, changes as you... it changes as you get deeper stacked. All right, so here I bet and get check raised all in. Obviously, we call. Pretty unlucky. Not really where you want to be. Program doesn't seem to suggest a whole lot of light four betting. I think the program instead elects to four bet with hands like ace jack as a semi bluff, or a bluff with blockers. I don't really know what it's going to suggest here with this jack 4. I'm going to go with a fold. Same thing with this 10-4 offsuit. I think both these are just horrible hands, so I don't think I need to play them. Here, I also don't know what program's going to suggest. It could easily say 3-bet this, but I'm going to fold We're just going to be a tight good boy and try to get into some post-flop spots. Post-flop spots are where I think everyone has issues. I think pre-flop, it's pretty easy to be nearly perfect, if not close enough to perfect. I think this is another close spot where I think I would typically fold this, but I could see the program saying call's fine. I'm going to call. No, I'm not. I'm going to fold. Seems like I'm playing like a super net. Maybe this just feels nitty to me. This is not how I traditionally play. Normally I'm playing like 27/22 or something, which is much looser than what I'm playing here, I am sure. Small blind limps. I guess we pot it. Oh, wow. They're just going to give me the nuts every time. It's not going to be too hard to play if we're going to get the nuts every time. I don't think there's any point in slow playing there, although maybe there is. All right, so I raise under the gun. This guy 3-bets. I think I should call this and set mine. Seems reasonable. Probably check calling flop one time with pocket eights. Really praying for a check from him on the turn. And then I think we need to check the river. Not much value in betting in my mind. He jams. Ugh. Well, he shouldn't have too many spades. It's pretty hard to have a spade. He should probably be bluffing ace-king and ace-queen and king-queen. So this is where I think having a really good understanding of the game strategy would really help me one way or the other if I have to decide between calling and folding. I think he should still be betting a jack on the turn. So I think I can kind of discount jacks. He would not bet with a 10 on the river. That seems ridiculous. He would bet with a flush on the river. I have an 8 of spades blocker, which doesn't really mean much because his pre-flop re-raising range should not contain too many 8s. Man, oh man. I don't know why this feels so close. It feels close to me. I think I'm going to call. And the reason I'm going to call is because I just don't think he's value betting a jack here. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe that assessment's wrong. Maybe he is just check turn with something like ace jack and then bets river even on it's not a bad river, but a bad enough river. I don't know. I don't know what the right play is. I'm sure there's some genius out here just laughing at me. I'm going to check call this. I'm just going to continue checking now. Check call turn. Check river. Check call river. Seems pretty standard. I'm going to call this, but this could actually be a blunder according to the program. All right, so we got him. I just really didn't think he had too many jacks in his range. If he doesn't have too many jacks in his range, what does he really have? Raise, 3-bet, 4-bet. Okay, I'm going to fold this. We actually ran into this situation last time where I went raise and I 3-bet king, queen suited and got 4-bet. We're in position this time, so calling could be a little bit better. Maybe I should call. This is another one where I really just do not know what to do. I'm going to re-raise this. I don't think I've actually ran into this situation yet. It's probably fine. We're getting pretty good odds. So I think I have to call just citing good odds, but this might be the live pro in me trying to see a good flop before I put my money in. Opponent checks, and we have a flush draw. Pot's 25. We have 25 left. I guess I'm all in. That's lucky. I cannot comprehend what he's folding on that board. I would love to see what hand the guy just folded there. Because if he has an ace, he should just be jamming. Because he has overcards and got shot. If he has a pair, he should either be jamming or check calling, one of the two. So I don't really know what he has there unless for some reason the program thinks my calling range is just super nitty. All right, 10-6 suited. I think we can defend this. Wow. And I guess check call. Probably not check raise. Check raise is kind of sweet if we think that this guy's going to be folding a lot of non-ace hands. But I think call's probably fine if I think he's not folding very often. And I think this program knows to not fold very often. He pots turn. So I'm going to fold this. The reason I'm going to fold this is because we're not getting great odds immediately. And we're out of position, so we're going to have a tough time getting value. Here we just have to call. He's too short. So I'm going to fold. Seems a little bit tight, but it's probably fine. Raise 3-bet. I imagine program's going to say fold this, but I could see 4-bet bluffing being okay. I'd love to know what you guys think about my play in this thing. Hopefully the program tells me I'm great. I'd also love to know how you guys are doing whenever you play this. Like, what errors are you making on a very regular basis that you seem to have problems with? I think once you can sort of quantify exactly what you're doing wrong, like, okay, I know that I call whenever they 4-bet me too much, for example. It's pretty easy to fix that problem. You just stop 4-betting. Here we have aces. Aces are great. I think we just go for value in this spot. I don't think we need to be concerned with trying to protect or anything like that by jamming. I think we just go bet, bet, bet 3 times. And pretty good run out. That's good. Queen 5 offsuit. Like, in my mind, I feel like we should be 3-betting this as a bluff a lot because it doesn't really defend too well, but I know we're getting the right price to call, so I think calling has to be okay. So I'm going to call, I guess, but I really don't like this play. And this is another spot where I'm probably check raising a lot in real game. And now on turn, I'm probably just going to start betting. It may quantify that as a blunder, though. Like, I don't know what it's going to say of that, but I think that's just a fairly standard spot to get after it a little bit. All right. Not a great board. I could see checking being fine here, but we'll go ahead and bet. I like betting. Betting's good, especially with all the draws. We continue to have draws on the turn. I think we need to continue betting. And I think this is a pretty good triple barrel spot. Maybe program's going to suggest... Actually, the guy's too short. Program will not suggest potting it. I think we need to bet 5 on the turn and then jam river. And again, program might classify this as an error as well, but we are nearly at the bottom of our range. Opponent should fold a lot on the river, I think. So, seems like a good spot to shove. We'll play just a little bit more, and then we will see how bad I butchered this session. Seems like we butchered the opponents. We're up 3 buy-ins, 3 short stack buy-ins. So that's good. I'm going to defend 7-3 suited. I guess check call this. And here I'm going to defend the big blind. I'm not going to 3-bet. And I'll probably be check calling down here. It's a pretty good turn. I don't know what the program's going to suggest. I'm going to fold this. This is a horrible turn for me. Completes a lot of the gut shots, a lot of the draws. And here I'm just going to continue checking. And then I'll value bet river. I think a big bet's probably good. Looks kind of bluffy. Obviously, the program doesn't know what it quote-unquote looks like, I don't think. But I like making big bets like that. This, probably a fold. Probably just a fold. Be a nit, J-card. Be a nit. All right, so we're going to close this one. We'll play around till the blind's on this one, and then we'll close this one as well. Always play around until it's your big blind, even on a practice program. It's good practice to play around until you're a big blind. And that's because you have paid for these hands. These hands are free. You can effectively sit here and play super tight, and it doesn't cost you anything. All right, so now we close this. Then what we do is we go up to import, and in just a second, these hands will pop up. For some reason, it seems like only one is coming up for right now. I'm a little bit confused about that, but it looks like... Oh, here it goes. Okay, that makes sense. It was taking its time. It did take about 1 minute in between this. I paused the video, so be aware of that if you are doing this yourself. Again, if you want to test your game and try to learn to play better fundamentally sound poker, make sure you do check out this program. It's called Poker Snowie. You can get it at jonathanlittlepoker.com/pokersnowie. So it says we played at an extraterrestrial level, which is, again, very good. Definitely happy with this. We had one blunder. What was it? Was it that bluff? I bet it was that bluff. Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay, so it actually shows you their whole cards. So this is the hand where... Can we rewind? Is that how this works? Yeah, okay, so I defended big blind, which was wrong. Barely wrong. 3 cents wrong. Check, call flop, very good. Well, good. Okay, then I check turn, which is good. He bets $4, which is great for him because he has the nuts. And I fold, and it says I actually should have called here. So it's interesting that this is the blunder, and it actually is a big blunder. It says it cost me $2 here. Obviously, the opponent had me crushed, but you can't worry about that. So that's a little bit surprising to me. I figured when the opponent bet twice, and this card was really bad for me, that my opponent should have should be betting here with a lot of value hands, especially given I could just easily have some of this board. So maybe I level myself a little bit in this spot. Very interesting. So let's go back and look at all the errors we made. 11 errors in the 10 or so minutes I played. All right, so let's go through these. Here, raise folds to me. It suggests I should fold. And what did I do? I re-raised to 7. So let's take a look at this. It says that re-raise, I lose 2 cents, so almost nothing. But it does suggest fold is the right play, which is a little bit tight. Also notice that a huge raise is horrible because he's going to play really well versus that. A small raise is horrible because he's going to call every time. So if you are going to raise, you want to make it roughly pot here. So I think I mentioned this in the previous video. If I'm going to make errors, these are the kind of errors I want to be making. Okay, so on the flop, I raise this from early position. This guy calls, this guy calls. It says the raise from early position is fine. It says I should not be betting with the flush draw on the flop. Again, so it cost me 3 cents or 4 cents. It's perfectly fine. I'm fine losing 4 cents. I cannot really comprehend why this is not a good bet on the flop. I mean, I would like to know what it's suggesting me to do. I guess it's suggesting me to check raise. Maybe that's what it's trying to say. Let's see what this does. I don't understand this. Okay, so anyway, I guess it's telling me to check shove. It's certainly not telling me to not put money in the pot with the flush draw. Wow, okay. Well, again, a 3 cent error, not a big deal. But on this flop, when I flopped a set, it said I should slow play. I am really not a fan of slow playing, even on super dry boards, but I guess it has a little bit of merit. But again, 3 cent error, that's not really worth spending too much time on. Here's a 13 cent error. So in this hand, wow, okay, so remember this hand. This guy raises, I elected to 3-bet, which program says is fine. This guy 4-bets me, and I decided to call. So I am glad that I called. Program says call's good, even though we are somewhat short-stacked. On the flop, he checked, and it tells me I should be checking. And again, I don't really understand this. I guess, well, I mean, so let's take a look at his hand. His call is actually bad, it says. I'm really shocked he just didn't shove, though, because if he shoves, I have to fold a lot of stuff. Whereas if he checks and I bet, he has to fold a lot of stuff. So I guess if he's assuming I'm not betting anything but pairs, I guess folding's okay, but again, I don't really understand this. I would like to know the logic behind this one. But yeah, so again, my bet was slightly wrong, 13 cents, not a big deal, but still very interesting. Here it says I should fold big blind. So apparently I need to be defending very wide versus early position raises. I'm sorry, versus late position raises, and pretty tight versus early position raises, because these seem to be all slightly negative EVs. I defended 7-3 suited also earlier, and it was slightly bad as well. So that makes logical sense. Here's another one where I lost 11 cents. So defending this queen 5 offsuit, right? I actually mentioned this one in the game that I really didn't know what to do. Now let's see what it thinks about my bet here. Bet on the flop. I guess this is my next error. Yeah, so here's the next error. It says I should not bet flop. I kind of feel like this is a really good spot to bet flop, though, because on the flop... Oh, well, okay. So the bets are just slightly bad, but even then, I think this kind of thing makes you way more difficult to play against. And if you become very difficult to play against, it's going to work out very well for you, I think. And again, it costs you nothing, right? This board should be great for my range. I can pot it and put him in a horrible spot. I kind of like that bet. I'm kind of surprised I did not like it. Kind of cool, right? So my opponent was betting purely balanced on the river, which is kind of what this is saying. It's assuming my opponent's bluffing the correct proportion of the time. And apparently this was in his bluffing range. Let's go back through this hand. So I raised Poker Snowie 3-bet small, which I think is fine. And I call, which it says is the only play that makes sense. I check flop. He checks flop. So I feel like if he just bets this flop, it puts me in pretty bad spots. And he did bet flop, so that's fine. Turn I check. And again, he has another spot where he needs to be balanced some percentage of the time, and these things will make him be balanced. He elected to check this time. River I check, which is great. He goes all in. I call, which is just purely neutral. Pretty sweet, right? So program's playing perfectly against itself, and it can get away with that because I think it's assuming I'm playing perfectly. So if it assumes I'm playing perfectly, he can make me very, like, I don't care if I call or fold in this spot. And I was right this time, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good or a bad call. All right, guy raises. I re-raised, and it said I should have folded. So again, same thing. I'm losing 2 cents. None of these plays really make much of a difference, I don't think. He min raises, I defended. Again, we discussed that spot already. And here it said I should have folded. So this is the one big error of the game. And I mean, I guess I just have to agree because I assume the program's right. But I have a difficult time recognizing that this is a fold because quite often the program seems to check behind when it just has nothing on the turn, at least in my limited experience. So when it's betting again, it's telling me that he has something, either some sort of like overcards or draw or something. And against that range, I feel like I'm not in great shape, but program says I have a super easy call. So this was the biggest error. And I guess if this is the biggest error, I'm okay with that. So good play. I'm happy with this. 3.57. That's perfectly acceptable. When I first started playing this, I was like at 14 or something. So I was never horrible, but at the same time, you can always do better. So here, I think if I had one fewer error, it probably would have been much closer to nearly perfect. So I'm happy with that. If you guys want to test your skills against Poker Snowie, again, you can get a free 1-week trial at jonathanlittlepoker.com/pokersnowie. Also, be sure to check out my weekly educational blog. I post lots of educational blog posts there, and if you want to improve your game, I think that's a very good way to get lots of free content. This has been Jonathan Little. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.